Well, after many redundant weeks and missed opportunities, the move that we have all been waiting for this season has finally happened. Hey guys, Cameron for Big Brother 18, episodes 24 through 28. Now, of course, I would have reviewed this on Thursday, but there was an episode Friday, so I didn't get to review it till now, which we'll talk about that, but anyways, this was probably my most anticipated week we've had all season, mainly because after so much bullshit, it finally seemed like what we wanted was going to happen. That especially after the events of the double eviction, it really did seem like a power play was going to happen. Someone big was going to be targeted, and that is absolutely what happened this week because this is Big Brother. This is what I want in Big Brother. This is what Big Brother stands for, and this is really what I wish this entire season had been like. And honestly, like I said, I really do think the rest of the season could end up becoming very, very strong, especially based on the way this weekend's. I think things are gonna go well for the rest of the season. But let's get into this overall, because really there is a lot to talk about, I have to say. In fact, it's probably my most lengthy review that I've done in a while. You know, I've kind of bullshitted on these reviews because there just hasn't been much to talk about, because it's been the same shit every single week. But there's actually a lot to talk about this week. Starting off with recounting the events leading up to the double eviction, because there was a lot of stuff, as I told you guys, that they did not show in said double eviction. And it's mainly because they didn't have time, and they had to go fast, and I like that most of Sunday night's episode is covering stuff that we didn't get to see, because there is a shit ton of stuff that went down. Mainly, there are two parties involved, one being the Natalie, James front, and the other being the Paulie, Victor, Paul, that whole front. So, basically, we already know the story of Natalie and Bridget talking and them getting Paul and Victor on the plane, which it was not James's idea. I really think it's stupid the way that they're giving James this credit, because all James is doing is going on with what Natalie says. In fact, 99 times on the live feeds, people ask James what he's doing. He says, I'll do whatever the lady tells me. I'll do whatever she tells me to do. You know, that's kind of how Natalie works. Natalie basically makes James think that her ideas are his ideas. She's very good with that. So yes, that is a whole part to it, and we definitely did see that. But there was a lot more going down. Mainly between Natalie and Paulie, because there's a lot of beef between these two. I guess there was this thing where Paulie saw Natalie's ass and told her to cover, well, not bare it, but obviously it was in his face. He told her to cover it because it was bothering him. So she turned around, and obviously, you know, she didn't mean to make things that way, but Paulie right away gets very personal. He really starts, you know, because essentially, you know, initially Natalie tries to talk to Zakiya, I think basically to tell her, look, he doesn't like you, you need to back off from him, you're going home, and you need to understand. That's really what the conversation was. Now, Big Brother made it seem like it was that Natalie cared for her. Really, I think it was that her just saying, look, you're going home, it's not because of you, it's just because, you know, we want Michelle to stay, and you're going. But I think it was really her way of saying, why are you, you know, sticking with Paulie? And Zakiya, being the dumbass that she is, because I gotta say, Zakiya really has grown quite dumb. I really had a lot of potential in her, and I was really hoping she'd do something big, but the most she's done that's big is have sex 5 times, let me mind you, which is just ridiculous. Or Paulie said on the feeds that him and Zakiya have had sex 5 times, which is just disgusting, because that is exactly what the relation was. It was just a physical relation. It wasn't even a relation. It was literally just a physical relationship, which is really ridiculous, I have to say. Especially when you're in a Big Brother house, one of the key components is talking, and those two barely did any of that. All they basically did was fucked. But anyway, Zakiya goes to Paulie, basically tries to twist Natalie's words to make it seem like she's targeting him and things like that, and obviously she is, but Zakiya really makes it seem like Natalie's the one guilty, and obviously she's not. But Zakiya, again, being the dumbass that she is, decides to take Paulie's side, and this starts a very heated fight between Paulie and Natalie. Mainly Paulie calling out Natalie for being fake, and her being, you know, this manipulative bitch and everything, and him also saying that he flirts with every woman, and that he's a flirt, and that this is what he does to every woman, and here's the thing. I mean, Paulie so far was fine, but then he says the thing that I think we were all dreading, and that is when he tells Natalie that she is as fake as the things on her chest, which, let me just say, if Natalie did get I don't know if she got a boob job or not. I think she did. I don't know if she did. But it's really none of anyone's business, and it has nothing to do with the game. Because here's the thing. While Paulie's trying to play a Derek-like game, that's not a game-related insult. Those are the kind of good insults. You know, if you target someone for game-related reasons, that's a different story. But if you're going personal, that's just completely wrong. And I think Paulie doesn't realize there are just certain lines you don't cross. And clearly, he doesn't really have said, you know, some sort of filter. And obviously, this really pisses off Natalie, and I love the way she got defensive about James and says how much she cares about James. Now, does she care about James, I think, as much as she said? No, I don't really think she does. I think she kind of just said that to, you know, protect James and obviously get James really upset, but I really did like that Natalie stuck up for herself. And the stuff they didn't show was her saying, I'm not going to be submissive, I'm not going to be someone who just goes along with this, I'm not going to stand for this, and I'm going to make sure that something happens. And of course, she did make sure that something happened with getting Zakiya out, and I thought she did a very good job with that. I like that they showed that Natalie was the one that did this. I didn't like that they made James seem like he was, you know, part of it. But let's get back to James in a second. Because another key part of this that they didn't really show the whole thing of is James and Paulie. Those two got into this close to fighting. If you remember the James and Clay fight last year, I mean, that was kind of a ridiculous fight. I don't really remember what that was about, but that's nothing compared to James and Paulie. James looked like he was ready to punch Paulie out, and that's something I do respect about James, is that he very much does respect women, especially being from the South. He feels that it's his job to protect her, which does Natalie really need protection? No, I think she's fine by herself. I think we've definitely seen that. But I do appreciate the sentiment, definitely. I will say that. I appreciate James trying to stick up for his woman. I thought that overall was interesting. I thought it was well done, and him and Paulie get in this big fight and everything. And this basically gets Paul and Victor to turn against Paulie. They realize that they can't work with him. They realize they don't have his best interest at heart, and they're basically turning against him. And, you know, Paul basically is trying to tell Paulie, I don't really think Paul did the best job with lying to Paulie and trying to make it seem like he was on his side. I don't think he really did the best job with that. But Paul and Victor are obviously very against Paulie. They can clearly tell why they can't be near Paulie, and everyone seems to be avoiding Paulie after this. The only people not against Paulie are Nicole and Corey, and that's because they're idiots. They really are. I mean, you want to talk about in the dark? Nicole and Corey aren't just in the dark. They're in the darkest room possible. Like, they're in that room. Here's the best way to say it, okay? Some people are in the dark, like Michelle, who's in the dark because she doesn't really have anyone. She's in a dark corner. Nicole and Corey are in the dark basement that nobody wants to go up to. That's where Nicole and Corey are. They're in this dark basement. They have no idea what's going on, and they think this is just a luxury vacation, and they're just there so Nicole can finger him and things that, you know, not so he can finger her and Nicole can give him hand jobs, but that's literally the only thing they do. I mean, they've done absolutely nothing, and the fact that they stick near Paulie, and the fact that Corey even thinks that Paulie is in the right, and he's clapping for Paulie. Do you listen to what's coming out of his mouth? I mean, do you actually listen? I'm convinced by the end of this week that Corey does not have a brain. I am absolutely convinced, because either he's playing dumb, which I doubt he is. I doubt he's playing dumb, because he has only won two competitions this entire, actually three competitions this entire season, not ones that he really needed, ones that he just randomly got, again, to kind of just go along with what Paulie said, and two, he literally cannot talk. I mean, you hear him in the diary room, he doesn't really know what he's talking about. He sounds like he has the vocabulary of, I'd say, a 5-year-old, and Corey in general, I mean, he really, I said he was plain. He's not just plain, he's boring, he's dull, and he's really dumb, and you definitely do see that this week, especially him allying with Paulie. I get why. I get that maybe he feels bad. I understand that, but still, I mean, when you say things like that, and you're especially in a showmance, which Corey does not seem to care very much about, I have to say. He doesn't really seem to care very much about Nicole at all. She kind of just seems, again, to be just like someone to cuddle with, I guess. I don't really know. I saw a video where they were arguing, and Corey even said she's not that great at that, so I don't even know why these two are in a showmance to begin with, honestly. I have no idea. It's not even a showmance. There's really nothing going on there. But anyways, like I said, everyone's pretty much against Corey, minus those, Paulie, and that pretty much sets the stage for the HOH going into this. And what I love about this HOH is it's kind of like a what should have happened the last time that this person got HOH, because basically the HOH is this mental competition, which I think very well. I mean, you can tell that Natalie really wanted this, but basically she ends up losing. Victor ends up winning HOH, and it's actually a good thing, because Victor, I think, really gets to show his cards this week. Not that Victor was bad. The only reason that I think Victor, that I don't think he was bad the first time around, he definitely showed that he's not afraid to get his hands dirty and definitely, do some work and definitely, cause some big moves, but he didn't really do anything that substantial because, again, it was all what Paulie wanted, and this week he's no longer doing that. He's doing what he thinks is best, and he and Paul make this alliance, which I thought was very well done. They don't have a name, but they do kind of have the final two right now, and they're definitely allied, so I thought that was well done. But he obviously is it is imperative to target Paulie. That is the main thing here. He needs to target Paulie, and that's exactly what he ends up doing. He does, in fact, end up targeting Paulie. I thought that was very well done the way that he did that, and I thought he did it in a way where it wasn't too aggressive either. I think he did a very good job with that, because obviously he knew that Paulie would come after him, but just in case, he even said, I just gotta do what's best for the house and everything. He made it seem like it was for the house. Now, we know that Victor did want this, but, he also did because everyone else did, but I think deep down Victor really did want this. I think Victor and Paul, they really did want to work with Paulie and Corey and James, and they wanted to work tight with them, and they wanted to have this final five, but there's no way that's going to happen. One, because these guys have egos, and most of them are completely in it for themselves. We definitely see Victor, as much as I do like Victor, because I really do like Victor at the end of this week, I have to say, I think he's really proven that he can be a much better house guest, and I think we definitely underestimate Victor a little bit, and I think the reason why is because, like I said, Victor didn't really get to do his own thing. He was in a position where he came back in the house, and he was trying to stay under the radar and try not to do much, but I think he just got a bit too power hungry, and he relied too much on Paulie, and now that he's not allied with Paulie, now he can start thinking for himself, and that's something I really did like seeing here. I thought that definitely, like I said, they really did show, Victor really did show his cards this week. I think that was something I definitely really did enjoy. But Victor still does have an ego, and the guys are definitely going to start clipping each other, and I think by the end of this week, we kind of are starting to see that these three women are probably going to be here for a while. I don't really see them targeting any woman from now till then. I think they're going to just start clipping each other. I think they're going to start going after each other, and I think that definitely is what's inevitably going to happen, is that they're all going to go after each other, but we'll have to see what happens with that, because I thought that was interesting. I liked his speech to Paulie and Corey. Corey's in complete denial what's going on. I loved Paulie's bawling. I thought that was hilarious to watch him saying, "I've been with this kid since day one," and him acting like he's been with Corey since the game has started, which obviously he hasn't. We've barely seen anything between Paulie and Corey. I think the only reason he's saying this is because he wanted to seem like he had some sort of ally and some reason to stick by Corey and not by Paul, and I think him just saying that is the justified reason, which obviously there's nothing that justifies what he said. And the other thing about Paulie, I think, is that there's no genuine remorse. He feels nothing about what he said towards Natalie. He feels nothing about what he said towards anyone, for that matter, and he doesn't even care that Zakiya was sent home. He doesn't really care about any of this stuff, and he's really sinned for himself, and I think it really does show just how power hungry and I think just selfish that Paulie really was. Now, do I think he's kind of always been this way? Yeah, to an extent, but if you really look at early in the game, Paulie wasn't always like this. I think he won too many things. I think he became empowered too much, and because no one else was doing anything, Paulie's had the chance to run the whole game, and I think that really is what started to hurt him. I think definitely his biggest mistake in the game, because I've been wondering this myself, is not just the Zakiya thing. Obviously, the Zakiya thing, I don't know why he handled that the way he did. I think he could have handled it a lot better. I think his number one flaw in the game is steering away from all the girls and going with the guys. I think that's the worst thing he could have done. I think going with Paul, getting the haircut, things like that, those were things that he really should not have been doing. And I think had he stayed with the girls, I think he could have really been a contender for the winner, because that's something that Derek did very well. He never made it seem like he was against anyone. He never really made it seem like he was even playing the game that much. I mean, people saw he was winning competitions, but no one really thought that he was making all the big moves. And I think that's something that Paulie tried to do. He definitely tried to, like I say, replicate Derek's game, but Paulie needs to realize that you need to kind of play your own game. I mean, you can try to play similar games, but you can't play the same exact game, and I think that's another thing that really did hurt Paulie here. But back to Sunday night's episode, the only other thing to talk about is the care package, which this was really bizarre, I have to say. Nicole, of all people, ends up winning the care package, and I don't really get it. I mean, like I said, I really did love Nicole on Big Brother 16. This season, she hasn't even been playing the game. She really hasn't been, which is really disappointing me, because I really do want to like her. I do. I want to like Nicole, but the more the season goes on, the more irritated I'm about her. And it's not because of her voice. It's not because of her personality. I still kind of like her personality. I still kind of like her voice. I still think she's kind of fun at points, but she's not doing anything. She's just there, and I forget Nicole's in this house, honestly. I'm not gonna lie. The way I felt about Victor is the way I feel about Nicole right now. I forget that she's in the house because she's not doing anything. She's just there at points, and she has this super safety costume that she has to wear, which I can remember back to BB16 when Nicole wore about, I don't know, half a dozen costumes, so this is really nothing new. Again, it just shows that she's playing the same exact game that she played in Big Brother 16, and I disagree, I really would, because Nicole in Big Brother 16 was actually winning competitions, and actually doing well in the game, and actually targeting people, and actually wanting to make big moves, and this Nicole is basically just gone to sleep. I don't know what she's done. I think she really has gone on autopilot. I think that's a problem. I think she thinks she has this game mastered, and I think she thinks she's played this game before, and I think she just thinks, alright, I played this game before, I don't need to do anything, I'm good where I am, and I think that's absolutely the wrong way to handle it. But that's basically everything that happened Sunday. I know there was a lot to talk about there, but really a lot went down Sunday. I have to say, Sunday night's episode was by far the best episode the show has given us this season. I mean, I loved everything about it. I thought it was so well done. I thought there was so much great confrontation. I also loved Paul's blindsided dance at the end of the episode. I thought that was great. But then we go to Wednesday, and most of Wednesday night's episode consists of two things, either the Zingbot or consists of Paulie acting like a complete brat, and that's something you definitely see here. Paulie is just crying. I know Evil Dick on Twitter was calling him Bali, which I thought was pretty hilarious, but literally throughout the entire episode, he's just crying. He doesn't know what to do, and he's going to apologize to people, obviously just making false just false amends, and taking blame for things that he really doesn't feel he should be taking the blame for, mainly because of the fact, again, that he's trying to gain votes. You can definitely tell, and you can tell throughout the entire week this is all an act. You can tell that Paulie isn't really that upset about it. You can tell he's just kind of using it as a strategy, and it doesn't work, obviously, because he just comes across as a pussy. He really does. There's a difference between gaining sympathy votes for something you generally deserve sympathy votes for, and just coming across like a pussy, and I think that's exactly what Paulie did. He just came across as a sore loser and someone that no one really respected, and I think it really made a lot of the house disrespect him even more and gave them more of a reason to evict him, because if he's going to be dramatic, and especially when he goes, ranting about Meech and how she's always crying and things like that, and then he does the same exact thing, and he's crying, and it's ridiculous. I thought it was so dumb, and I really did not like that. But anyways, like I said, Paul and Victor, they're making this move against Paulie and everything. They're doing whatever they can to get him out, and I thought that was very good. I definitely did like seeing that'll go down, and I thought that was definitely, like I said, I really did love everything that was going on there. My only fault with Wednesday's episode was the Zingbot, and why, you ask? Because I didn't think the Zingbot's zings were particularly that funny. I mean, I always really like the Zingbot. It's always one of my favorite parts of the season, but I really was not a fan of the Zingbot, I have to say, and it's mainly because of the fact that I just think his zings were a little bit weak. I don't know if they were trying to censor something, or if they were just trying to not let him say anything bad, but I just wasn't a fan of what the Zingbot said here. I thought a lot of what he said was just kind of dumb. Like, especially his diss to Victor, calling him El douchebag. I didn't think that was particularly funny. And Paulie's, I mean, was relatively weak. The best you can do is say, oh, you're a copy of your brother or something like that. I mean, I didn't think it was good enough. I thought he should have done something a lot different, and he didn't. He didn't do anything really. I thought that he could have done something a lot different there, but he didn't. The worst one by far, I think, was probably, I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think, because the only ones I liked were Nicole's, which I thought was hilarious, with him saying that there is someone who wants to marry you that's Hayden. I thought that was hilarious, because it really does show the lack of chemistry that Corey and Nicole really do have, because I don't see it. I don't know if you guys see it. I don't see it at all. I don't know why those two are together and in a showmance at all, because it's not even a showmance. And then I really did like Paul's, where Zingbot's telling him shut the fuck up. I mean, that's understandable. Paul's talking, 90 miles a minute. It makes sense. I definitely do understand that. I thought that was pretty funny, actually. I really did like the way that was done. I thought, like I said, that, in my opinion, was pretty funny. So I definitely did enjoy seeing, those zings, but the other ones I thought were very relatively weak. I didn't really find them that funny. I thought that the Zingbots had a lot of funnier stuff, and I don't think it was particularly out of material. I don't think that's the word, but obviously he was just kind of running low, I guess, and I don't know, there was just, it wasn't really there. I mean, I don't know, it was interesting, definitely, but I just didn't think the Zingbot was particularly that funny. But anyways, besides the Zingbots, we go to the POV competition, and Victor once again ends up winning the POV, which it was just awesome to watch. I mean, Paulie was so close, and I like that Victor did win the POV. I was very worried that Paulie was going to get it, but he didn't, and I definitely really did like that. And basically, through all this, everyone now has to wear some sort of a costume, which was ridiculous, I have to say, but Corey has to wear this patriotard, which really just showed just how much of a jackass he is. And then you have Paul, who has this hilarious, secret agent costume. I absolutely love that. I think it suit him so well, and I tweeted on Twitter that I don't really think anyone could rock that costume as well as Paul did, and I completely agree with that. I don't really think anyone could have done that. I think definitely that alone just solidifies just how fun of a house guest Paul really is. He's gone from someone that I despised and someone that I thought was annoying to someone I actually really think is a lot of fun, and I definitely really did like his edit this week. I think this is probably Paul's most positive edit yet, and I definitely did enjoy that. And then Paulie has to do this thing where he has to bake a pie every time he hears the Zingbot saying, oh, say, can you sing? Which the Zingbot's apparently running for president, which, alright, I mean, it's a better candidate than anyone in this election, I'll say that, but I don't know if I want the Zingbot for president. I hope I don't get zinged now that I just said that, but, because I'm hearing now people are getting zinged to review Big Brother, and I'm worried I'm going to get zinged. I don't want to get zinged, but, maybe you can zing me. I don't know. Anyways, honestly, guys, if you guys can come with a good zing for me, zing me in the comments. I'd love to hear what you can do, because I don't know what kind of zing I could get. I think I don't know. I honestly don't know what you guys could zing me for, but anyway, we then get this awesome scene with Paulie where he starts just going apeshit. I mean, he starts calling out people. He starts, during the PO... Oh, I loved when they chose players for the veto comp, and he goes to Michelle. He looks her right in the face, and he says, to her, are you coming... Are you gonna... do you want to play? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, are you coming after me? And she said no. And he's like, are you going to save me? And I love that she straight up said no. It just shows what Michelle's mission is. Do I really think that Michelle is that great of a house guest? No. I think she's very catty. I think she's very shallow. And I think she really needs to think before she speaks, because she really doesn't have much of a filter. And I kind of respect that, but I kind of don't, because it's kind of, I think going to ruin her points. But just the fact that she straight up said that to Paulie, I thought was a lot of fun to watch. And then even better was Paulie trying to gain sympathy votes, because he starts crying because he don't want to make these pies. And what they didn't show was Paulie locking himself in the diary room for over, I think, 3 hours and not knowing if he was actually going to bake this pie and actually going to face reality and have to bake these pies and everything. It was ridiculous. I thought it was so dumb, but he does comply. He makes the pies or whatever, and the veto luckily isn't used. I'm glad they didn't use it, but now let's get into Thursday's episode, because there's a lot to talk about there. Thursday night's episode, I thought, was another great episode. I really did love everything that happened here. By far the most energetic. I mean, there was some crazy stuff going on here between the beginning of the episode where we see Paulie and he's openly refusing to participate in this because he basically just wants to leave. And it was ridiculous to watch, I have to say. I mean, they didn't show on the feeds, but Paulie didn't want to go to the jury. He literally said that he wanted to self-evict, and I really thought he was going to. And honestly, I wish he did, because then we could call him the most pathetic house guest to ever be on Big Brother since Shima. But he starts acting like Shima. He starts, you know, not participating. He starts not going to bake the pies, and Corey confronting him, I mean, I like that Corey did step up and actually do something, but honestly, it's probably the only thing that Corey will be recognized for. Honestly, it's probably the only thing I will ever compliment Corey for, which I think it was a good move on his part to confront Paulie and say, look, bro, you need to face reality, but it still was the dumbest thing ever. It still was so ridiculous, and the fact that Paulie's calling him homie every 5 seconds, and even him saying, you know, getting as close to Corey as he did, I mean, he's talking to him like he's his brother. It's really dumb. I thought it was really stupid. But that's what happens with that. And he also tries to go to Natalie and James and try to reason to them. Obviously, Natalie's not going to give in because she's one of the main reasons that Paulie's on the block in the first place and why this all went down, which I thought was, again, a great move on Natalie's part, the way she was able to do that. But, I loved the jury segment. I thought it was very well done between Devon calling out Zakiya, which she totally deserved. And I like that Devon was kind of like a mom to Zakiya. I mean, we know that those two are very good friends, but it was kind of like the overprotective mom and her teenage daughter, and she knows her teenage daughter's kind of slutty, and she wants her to not be so slutty. Now, am I saying Zakiya's slutty? No, but come on, just have some respect for yourself. I mean, I've heard, like I said last week, that Zakiya lets guys do this to her, and it's just sad. It really is. I mean, I don't know why someone who's that gorgeous, honestly, I think Zakiya really is a beautiful, gorgeous woman who is very articulate and very well, I think, could get any man that she desires, why she chooses someone like Paulie who wants absolutely nothing to do with her except have sex with her. That is the only reason that he was with her, if you guys don't realize. I mean, I think everyone knows this, but literally the only reason he was with her was to bone her. That's it. He just wanted to have sex with her and then be done with it, and that was it. And it was dumb. It was so stupid. I hated it, and you know, I just think it was ridiculous, the fact that she just constantly gave in to him. And still with Devon, she's defending him. It's so dumb. Even though and especially when they're watching the package of him falling off right after she did, and she knows it, it's just stupid. It really is so dumb. I hated that, but I did love, like I said, Bridget, Devon, and Zakiya rooting for Michelle, you know, just praising her for calling everyone out. I mean, that was just, like I said, the greatest move she's done all season. One of the best things about this season. I definitely really enjoyed it. That was a lot of fun to watch. Rachel and Brendan, I don't know why this was here. I don't know why they did this, because to me, here's where I was getting worried. I'm like, alright, they're showing a lot of stuff. Usually when they show this much stuff on a Thursday night episode, it's because something big is going to happen. So I was deathly terrified that Paulie was going to get evicted and he was going to have the round trip. Now, luckily he didn't. But can we talk about Paulie's eviction speech? Because what the fuck? I mean, I've never seen something that crazy, because there's no way a sane man can go on TV, give that kind of a speech, and then, you know, go to the jury house. I mean, I'm going to say right now, I think Paulie was a little bit too happy here. I think he was very happy. I think he was a little too energetic. And yes, I'm talking about drugs. I think Paulie straight up took something because, one, I've heard they give you pills if you feel anxiety or something. They give you, like, Adderall. So I think he was on a shit ton of Adderall. I think he definitely was drunk. And there's no way that Paulie was sober enough to say what he said, because he goes around every house guest saying these great things about them. He calls Corey, I think, a member of the Calafiore family, which was ridiculous. Straight up kisses Michelle, which I thought was ridiculous. Starts addressing the audience, and the audience, obviously, I think they just applauded because they didn't know what else to do. They were just it was so awkward, and the fact that Julie didn't cut him off is even the more hilarious. I honestly don't blame her, because in that situation, they've kind of lost control. I really wouldn't know what to do either, so a lot of people are faulting Julie for this. I wouldn't do that. I think, honestly, I needed to see this whole thing play out. It was so ridiculous. It was so dumb. And then him going to Julie when he was evicted and just lifting her off her feet and saying, I want to stay with you, I want to stay with you. I mean, just enough of the flirting, Paulie. This is a married woman here. She wants nothing to do with you. Leave her alone. I thought it was so dumb. I really did not like that, but I'm just glad that he's gone. But he might not be gone, because then we hear that there's going to be a jury back at the end of next week, and I really don't want this to happen. It does not need to happen. The only reason they're doing this is to add some sort of momentum into the season so people who aren't watching will start watching. And I think they don't need to do that. They really don't need this jury back. I don't want it. You don't want it. And I'm really worried that it's going to be Paulie that comes back. But it's not a battle back, so I'm happy it's not that, because I think that was just... You guys know how I feel about the battle back. You guys know how much I love the battle back, and, you know, how much I loved it, and how amazing it was, but I definitely would not want another battle back. I think it's just dumb, and poor Frank, honestly. Frank really got screwed over in not being able to be the only one who could not come back a second time, which I think is really dumb, but I'm hoping for Davon, honestly. I want Davon to come in. I want her to school them, and I definitely looking forward to seeing what happens to that. I'm really rooting for Davon. I don't think it's going to be Davon. I'm worried it's going to be Paulie, but we'll have to see what happens next week. But of course, that's not all to talk about, because we had another episode of Big Brother on this Friday, and this was the mystery episode. Now, I was thinking this was going to be the jury back. I was thinking this was going to be the jury trying to come back and the battle back and everything. I thought that's what this was going to be, or something along the lines of some sort of secret competition that we didn't know about, or a Pandora's box or something like that. But no, we had whatever the hell this was, because what the actual fuck was last night's episode? I have no idea what that was. This ridiculous carnival that everyone's going to, which, by the way, they had to digitally remove Paulie from every scene, which was hilarious. You could clearly tell that he was there, but they had to remove him from every scene because this was before he was evicted. But anyway, you know, seeing Paulie not there, I thought was pretty funny. But this carnival where everyone's talking about memories and it's obviously so scripted was so cringy. I don't like to use the word cringy just because I just don't like that word. But it was, I don't have another word for this than straight up cringy. There wasn't any other word possible. I mean, I can't really tell you how I felt watching this because it wasn't even an episode. It was literally a clip show. And I don't know why they're doing this now. There's no reason to do a clip show because that's for the end of the season. Typically, Big Brother does that in the penultimate episode. That's what they've always done. So I don't know why they decided to do this random clip show with everyone talking about past relationships and, oh my god, Zakia's birthday. Oh my god, remember this? Obviously, they don't care that much. They were obviously told to say this. They were obviously scripted, and it was so dumb. The competitions were ridiculous. I mean, 25 cents, that's the best you can do. 25 cents. You're telling me you spent that much of the budget on these cardboard sets? Because they were so fake, honestly. They were so fake. They looked so ridiculous, and it just looked like, it looked like grease, honestly. I know Rob as a podcast said that, but it really did look like grease. I think that's the best way I can compare it, and I mean, technology has changed so much since then. I have no idea why they did this. There was no reason to do it. I don't want to talk about it for that much longer because it was absolutely ridiculous, but I just felt that you guys would get a kick out of me talking about it. You guys know I gave it 1 out of 5 because, once again, it's the only episode that I absolutely despise this season. I mean, I've despised a lot of this season, but the battle back I thought was pretty bad. No, this is a new low for Big Brother. I don't know why they did this. I think the biggest problem with this season is production. I don't really think it's the house guest problem. I think it's production. I think production's trying to do too much. I think they know that people don't like the season, and they're trying to just milk it in, and they're trying to give us things that we don't need, and we don't need all these twists. You know, I've said it before. I don't need twists. I don't need all this shit. I just want to see a good game of Big Brother, and I don't want to see house guests in a carnival rocking out to Ziggy Marley, who they pretend they know, and then he disappears after 1 second because Ziggy Marley's just that irrelevant. But anyway, I thought that was just so dumb. Then we get to the HOH comp, which again, we don't see. We're going to see what happens on Sunday. I just thought I should talk about that because, of course, there was 4 episodes. But anyways, guys, I really did enjoy this week overall. I really did like everything that went down. Like I said, I think this is definitely the best week we've had since the premiere. I definitely really did love everything that went down here. I thought it was very interesting overall, just to see the events play out, and also see Paulie just completely lose it. I mean, some of the things that he was doing, I forgot to say, you know, some of the things he was doing for sympathy votes, he was using his dying aunt who's dying of cancer as a sympathy vote just to get sympathy votes. I mean, things like that. He really crossed some lines. I think he went way too far, and he just need to stop campaigning, because there's only so far you can go, and there's only so much you can do. And for someone like Paulie, who I think knows he's definitely leaving, there's really no reason to do that. I mean, if I was Paulie and I knew I was leaving, I'd probably just make some amends, talk to people, try to be a nice guy, and not do whatever the hell Paulie did before he left. I have no idea what the hell that was, him kissing Michelle. I don't know what any of that was, but anyways, let's talk about the game moving forward, because now that Paulie's out of the house, it really is anyone's game, and that's something I really do like. You have the biggest threat out of the house. What happens now? I mean, I already know who's HOH, and I know who co-HOH is as well. I'm not going to tell you, but I think this really puts people in a much more interesting position. You have, the house is very much divided into three groups now, whether it's Natalie, Michelle, and James on that side, because you have them, then you have Paul and Victor, and then you have Nicole and Corey, and someone's got to take a shot at one of those groups, and we don't know, well, I know who it's going to be, but I'm going to, just theoretically, we don't know who it's going to be. If you guys have seen the feed, you know, obviously, but theoretically, we don't know who it's going to be. I'm looking forward to seeing how things change there. And as far as Victor, like I said, I think Victor really did prove himself, but by doing that, I think he made himself more of a target, because he showed that he's capable of making big moves, and if he's capable of making big moves, that is enough to sway the jury. I mean, jury loves people that make big moves. Jury eats up all over that kind of stuff, and I think that's something that Victor has done very well, and I'm happy that he did that. But like I said, I really think he has inevitably made himself a target, and I don't really know if he's going to be able to get the target off his back. In fact, I think he's probably in danger this week. I think he might even be leaving this week. If anything, I think Corey's the person to get out, because I think it will wake up Nicole a bit. I think if Nicole doesn't have Corey, I think she'll go to Natalie and to Michelle, and honestly, if Corey leaves, I could really see the girls starting this girl alliance that we've been wanting, with James kind of to the side, but Natalie, obviously, like I said, is kind of playing him right now. She's been playing him this entire time, but I think those three honestly could end up going pretty far, and I think they could honestly be the final three. I really think we're going to see a girl win this season, just because of how shallow the guys are and the egos they have. Nothing wrong. Paul, I'm fine with. I really don't have a problem with Paul. James is really starting to irritate me. The fact that he just goes along with everything, I think, is really dumb. Corey doesn't have a brain, and Victor, like I said, while I think he's shown that he is very capable, I think by doing that, he has inevitably made himself a target, and I think definitely something is going to happen to him. If not this week, then definitely next week, and if there's a second double eviction, then especially it's going to happen to him, which obviously someone's come back in the house. We don't know who that's going to be, and I think that's something else that we should be worried about. We'll have shootdowns with that. Anyways, guys, let me know what you guys saw this week. Love to hear your thoughts on it. What did you think of Paulie leaving? What did you think of the carnival? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that ridiculous episode. I don't know what the fuck that was, but let me know what you guys thought. I'd love to hear that. Let me know what you guys thought this week. Love to hear your thoughts on it. We'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for either one of two things, either for Stranger Things or for the season 1 of *Halt and Catch Fire*. I am binging that show, and I'm planning on watching the season finale tonight, so I might be able to review the season of that, and if I do, I will see you guys for that. Okay, bye.